Good afternoon. I will call to order the Public Utilities Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. We'll get started. The first item on our agenda is our consent agenda. If there's any questions on that.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Second item is our Employee of the Month.
Yes, Commissioners. The Employee of the Month for September is Matt Schmiesing. He's being recognized because on September 18th, we had emergency operations to repair some of our aging infrastructure. He went above and beyond expectations. He started to physically explore valves in the water system near the dig site that at this point weren't identified on our maps or records. He discovered a critical valve that, when properly used, significantly lessened the impact on our water customers. So rather than shutting water off to 21 of our downtown businesses, we only needed to shut off 3, and for a much shorter time. We'd like to commend him for his willingness to keep searching for a better way, and when our documents and records indicated otherwise, he played a key role in a successful emergency operation. So I just want to recognize Matt Schmiesing.
Make a motion to recognize Matt Schmiesing as the Employee of the Month for September 2025.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Matt, for your service. Now on to item 3, old business, solar on public buildings grant. Derek.
Well, good evening, Commissioners. If you recall last meeting, I brought an agenda item about solar and public buildings to you that we went out for RFPs through the Minnesota Department of Administration's bidding process. So we received those RFPs on October 15th. So how that generally works is their bidding process gives each vendor a score on different metrics, and that whatever the highest score is what you generally who you'd go with through their bidding process. So unfortunately, we received. I mean, what was nice is we received RFPs back from 4 vendors. There were some vendors that didn't follow the RFP. I also threw an addendum into that RFP before the deadline, which we're able to do. And then I tell the state what that is, and they let the vendors know any changes. Unfortunately, some of the vendors didn't follow either, so it kind of skewed the scoring. For example, one vendor put the max amount on each building when we specifically asked for a certain KW size at those specific buildings. So it really wasn't fair to use some vendors' quotes when they didn't follow, and it lowered their price, and et cetera, et cetera. So, the 2 that we were looking at was Solar Connections and Wolf Track Energy. They both followed the RFP. They also both came for site visits to all the locations. So that helped with the scoring as well. But based on the cost per watt of energy from the bidding process, we recommend to proceed with the grant award to Wolf Track Energy for the project. They also have additional experience with the Solar and Public schools that they mentioned. So they're both similar grants and applying for them, which is beneficial. So if approved tonight to go with Wolf Track Energy, I'll probably contact them tomorrow and the state so they can let the other vendors know, that we've moved on from this and then go on with that. Additionally, if there's any concerns structurally on roofs on any of these buildings, that should be found out when they come again and reassess, the situations at each location. And if there's any issues, we're not going to go through with those locations. Because in theory, we could get 100% of this paid for with the 70% of the grant payment and then 30% as a direct payment in lieu of taxes. So there's some other things we'll need to work out just with for sure that we can get some of this process done by the end of the year. because after this year and beginning of next year, some things kind of change with USA-made products and whatnot. So I also attached kind of the scoring. So if anyone had a chance to look at that or has any questions, you can feel free to ask. I can try to explain the best I can.
You mentioned they did some work for schools. Was that around here or?
Not around here, no.
Okay.
I mean, the public high school has solar, but that was prior to any Minnesota or federal grants. They did receive some grant money from us when we had a program, but that was, before this.
I'll entertain a motion if.
I'll make the motion to approve Wolf Track Energy as the selected vendor for the solar on public building grant program, and authorize application for grant funding and finalize design and specifications.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now on to new business, third-party billings, mailing.
Commissioners, this is something we've been considering for a while in our office. Every month, the finance department prints approximately 6,000 to 7,000 bills and notices. In order to do that, we pre-order paper that has the standard formatting on the back, and then we print them out, go through them, stuff them, mail them. The whole process, each billing cycle, and there's 3 cycles per month, it takes 5 to 6 hours. And then we're finding the paper's getting more expensive, having the inserter machine and the size of the copier we need are all more expensive than what we would need if we could reduce our volume by getting rid of this part of the process. So if we would choose to go with one of these third-party mailing services, the whole process really stays within our hands for the most part. Pauline would continue to go through and review everything and set everything up once all the readings and everything are in. And then after she gets through everything, the file would be sent to a vendor for them to print and stuff and mail and do that part of it for us. Before they can do that, though, we have to approve their final file. So we have that final approval before anything goes out. We met with 3 different vendors when we talked about this. 2 of them provided very complete quotes. The way they did it was hard to compare. And then the third vendor was more local, smaller. They're just trying to get into this business. So they were more expensive, and we didn't feel like they could handle the size of the business that we want them to do. So we're asking to move forward with InfoSend. It's a company, I believe, based in Arizona. They have all the HIPAA compliance and everything we need with the electric bills. Everything we do is on a secure website. IT met with the vendors with us, so they've seen that process and they're okay with it. And I think that we'll save anywhere between $500 and $1,000 a month doing this, just by getting rid of some of that equipment and staff time. And they actually can get some deeper discounts on the mail as well, because they can batch it better than we can even, so.
Is there any lag from the first time they have to run it or send it?
There'll be about 6 weeks, they said, to
Okay.
get it set up. So we have enough paper, enough bills to get us through the end of the year.
Okay.
So we're anticipating the January billings would be the first ones that they would do for us.
Got it.
Is there any option to like email bills?
We we give all the customers the option. We have about 500 bills, I think, a month that are emailed. We've tried to get more people to do, we've done a couple of, messages on the bills, and Tyler Tech has actually given us some stuff that we can use to help promote that a little bit more too, but we email as many as we can.
So essentially, every time we would get that, we would lower our cost for this
Yep.
service as well. And then on the labor, looked at the cost analysis, so we're not gonna get rid of the labor?
No, Pauline does all the utility billing and she reviews everything. I think this will give her more time where she can better review some of the bills and look for discrepancies and help to identify some of those problems that maybe take a little bit longer to come to light now, because she'll have more time to do that with the bills and be more thorough that way.
So by keeping that, we'll still have that cost, right?
Yep.
So it'll really be a cost
Yep.
in for this service. Do we know about what that is?
her labor cost?
No, just without that factored in, like, I assume this will cost so much on an annualized basis.
So we figured the staff time is about just over 9 cents per bill. So that's the part that we would still have, I guess, yeah.
So even at that, there's still a little bit of a savings there, obviously. Okay.
Is this a contract? So
Yes.
are we tied for how long?
I believe they gave us 2 years
2 years? Okay.
initially. And then they discounted their smaller batches. We were concerned because when we send the late notices and the final notices, those batches are much smaller, obviously, because most people have made their payments by then, but said they would discount that even though it has to be a minimum size.
I'll entertain a motion if there's no other questions.
I'll make the motion to approve use of third-party mailing service for utility bills and allow the finance director to sign the agreements with InfoSend.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is bulk gasoline and diesel fuel bids.
Yes, Commissioners, this is to get authorization to go out for bids for fuel for our bulk gasoline and diesel fuel. We have a fuel depot that's located 3rd North Street and approximately Spring Street that's used for all city and PUC vehicles. We've had this for several years, probably 15 or more years. We go out for bids every 3 years. So you can see the details on here. It's approximately 41,000 gallons of gasoline and 35,000 gallons of diesel that's consumed every year by police, city, and PUC vehicles. Again, it's a 3-year contract, which will end January 31st, 2016. So we typically spend about almost $200,000 in gasoline and diesel fuel a year.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to prepare specifications and advertise for bids to supply bulk gasoline and diesel fuel for the fuel depot located at 3rd North Street and approximately Spring Street for a 3-year contract period for the City of New Ulm and Public Utilities Commission.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is World Kinetic Energy Management Services.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a master agreement and service agreement for energy management services with Connect. We entered into a contract with them in 2021. Basically, they are experts in the field of procuring natural gas for our customers. And so the current contract expires. This is a new contract. Basically, everything is similar to what it was in the past with a slight increase, and this would be for a 3-year term as well. We're very happy with the service that they supply, so we're not inclined to look any further.
I think they've done a good job for us.
They've done a very good
Yeah,
job.
that's what I
Yep.
thought, yeah.
Did their price go up a lot? in
Not
this?
much. I think it was, gosh, I think it was like a couple $100. I think it was like $8,100 per month
So
last.
200.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's been a big savings for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion to authorize city manager to sign the master agreement and service agreement for energy management services with World Kinetic Energy Incorporated for the procurement of natural gas for the city of New Ulm.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.4 is the Xcel Energy Service Agreement for transmission.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a transmission to load interconnection study that Xcel requires you to do before you put anything new onto their system. If this was a big solar project, they'd have to do it, but we're just adding a substation to support, we'll call it the West New Ulm area. That industrial park up there behind Walmart, Becker Drive, some of that area, has been identified for several years in our long-term studies that we have limited ability to back those areas up if we would have a fault on the system. So this is just the necessary first step to start looking at how we can add a substation in that area to start correcting that issue.
How long does it take, Dan? You know?
Well, they said in the paperwork optimistically 120 days, but I know they have a tremendous backlog right now with all the different things going on with AI data centers and all that things. So if we could get it in probably 6 months, that's probably optimistic.
Just another note, you're approving the initial deposit of $15,000. Excel can incur costs up to $25,000, but anything over that would require our approval. So, just so that you know
Okay.
that.
Yeah, they kind of do a guess at what the study's going to cost you and then adjust from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Xcel Energy service agreement for a transmission to load interconnect system impact study, an advance deposit of $15,000, and authorize the planning and development engineer to sign the agreement on behalf of the NUPU, pending final review by Xcel's legal department.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is 4-5, well 22 and 23 reconstruction.
This is finally the actual construction contract on things you've heard about for the last, well, since August of '24. We've been working on, that's when the well failed before that, but the river had gone down enough that we could get out there and assess it and figure out what happened to well 23. This is the first contract, which is Trout, which is the well reconstruction, which is item 4.4, is just to rebuild the actual wells. So Trout will come in, re-drill the wells, effectively removing the old casing and everything, and returning it all to native soil where the well is. So effectively, it would be a completely new reconstructed well in the exact same location. The second contract, which will be our next item, will be the balance of the project.
Was that expected to have to do that?
Our wells are in a location where the DNR is not a fan of where they are. They would like them somewhere else. We need to rebuild a couple of these wells to get them back in service now, because when we look for other sites within the city limits of New Ulm, the water is in the Mount Simon aquifer, and they will not permit a new well out of the Mount Simon aquifer either. So it's kind of one of them, okay, if you don't like where we're at, where would you like us to put a well? So we need to rebuild these wells and take care of these as long as we can, and we do have it in the budget to start studying and looking for new source water next year. So you will hear about this in the water planning budget meeting in November, I guess.
But these new wells should last quite a while.
Yeah, a couple of the sister wells here were bored in 1969. I think this one was built in the 80s, so this would be potentially like a 40-year project.
Yeah.
So it will be there for the long term.
This type of construction is the only type of construction that they would allow in this area. And by doing 23, which isn't in service, 22 is in the same well house. So it just makes sense to do both of them at the same time and have two reconditioned wells at that time.
Because access to those is difficult with the river the way it is.
Yep.
And the reason that it's taken this long is the permitting process has been extensive to get us to this point where we could bid it. And we still have a couple of variances we will be filing for once we have the contractors on board.
And we've used this company before. They've done well work for us.
And actually, in the state of Minnesota, this company is the only one that has the technology to actually do an overshot and re-drill a municipal well in the same location.
Probably in the 5-state area.
Yeah, there was only one bidder for the well portion of it. It is a very select technology. They did go out and do some work, like in the Bakken for that kind of oil drilling even. So these guys, no drilling.
Drillers. Okay.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the bid from Trout Companies of St. Joseph to reconstruct well 22 and well 23 in the amount of $745,604.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to the second part of the well, 4.6.
Yeah, excuse me, as I said, this is the balance of the project. MBI, the contractor here, will come in, tear down the existing well house and remove everything around the wells. Then Trout, which you just approved, will come in, do the overshot in their process. And after Trout's done, MBI will come back in and rebuild the well house, do the electrical work, pipe fitting, all the rest of the balance of the project.
When would they start? I see it's due to finish in spring of '27. When would
Well,
they?
Trout is
the well,
available about next August is their first available timeline.
Oh,
And obviously, we do not really want to schedule anything March, April, May
Right,
with the
spring.
river and stuff. So if it starts next fall, I'm happy with that. If they go through and do winter construction, because hopefully the river's nice and frozen, then we won't have a problem with it. And we're being generous and going to grant, obviously, act of God
Yeah.
contingencies, depending on what the river does.
Yeah,
So-
we wouldn't want to do it in the
That,
summer
yeah.
either, just because we'll have to take well 22 offline.
okay.
So
And
it's
there's
a limited window.
times too, like in the middle of summer, if they get a huge rain up at Montevideo or somewhere, suddenly the river will come up
Yes.
here and we're out of luck again.
Yeah, because you had talked about that, to take the one well down, you just wanted it in a certain time of year, but aren't they both going to have to be down for a while?
Yep.
Well, one is already down, 23 is already down.
So doing this over fall when people aren't watering their lawn and whatnot, we're good with that. Yeah.
You ready?
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the bid from Municipal Buildings, MBI of Newton, Minnesota, to demolition and reconstruct the well house for well number 22 and well number 23 in the amount of $601,616.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have the preliminary budget discussion.
Yeah, according to our regulations or charter, I guess, we're required to present the preliminary budget in the October meeting. So you have that attached to your agenda. Just some things to note. The 2026 budget anticipates operating income at $51,789,421, operating expenses of $51,517,380. So we have a net operating income of $272,041. We've got net income of $2,707,830 with a change in unrestricted cash of a negative $805,356, and our debt service coverage is 5.45 times. We will be in the next item setting up a meeting to go over the budget, and so at that time, you'll be able to take a look at it and ask questions.
Very good. Yeah, I'll take a motion on,
I'll make a motion to receive and order file the preliminary 2026 budget for the New Ulm Public Utilities.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Do we have to call a roll on this one?
No.
No. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And now we will go on to scheduling our meeting.
Yeah, typically, the budget meeting or budget workshop is held the afternoon prior to the November commission meeting. It happens to be on November 25th this year, so we're looking at starting at 1 PM on Tuesday. This is held in the front conference room at the PUC, which is 310 First North Street. So if that works for everyone, we'll set that up. Otherwise, we'd need to find another date.
Yeah, I don't,
Works for me.
it does work for me as well. Are you guys good with it?
About how long?
Typically, in the past, it has taken the entire afternoon. I mean, we have about enough time to come back up and do the meeting, so
Okay.
1 to 3:30, 1 to 4?
1 to 4 probably, yep. And with some new commissioners, it may take a little bit longer too, so.
Everybody okay with that? I'll make the motion to schedule a meeting to review the preliminary 2026 budget for the New Ulm Public Utilities at 1 PM Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 in the Public Utilities Front Conference Room, 310 First North Street.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the meeting? None, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last item is our report of claims.
I'll make a motion to accept list of claims paid in the amount of $3,042,570.21.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second there. Is there any further discussion on the report of claims? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Last item is, do our commissioners have any additional comments?
I was told yesterday that Minnesota Valley Action Council Energy Assistance Program is shut down until the government.
They are still accepting applications, as far as I'm
Yeah,
aware.
but they're not,
They don't have any funds to distribute, but they're still
Yeah.
approving applications for future funding.
but no money available.
Correct.
Hopefully that will get solved soon.
Soon, yeah, agreed. All right, if there's nothing else, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.